Donald Trump signed an executive order banning transgender student athletes from competing in women's sports, warning schools they could lose federal funding if they fail to comply. The order also directs federal agencies to block transgender athletes from entering the country, a move that could impact the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. From now on, women's sports will be only for women, Trump declared at the White House, surrounded by supporters and young athletes. The order instructs the Department of Education to enforce Title IX by targeting schools with trans-inclusive policies. Trump's administration argues the law was designed to protect women's sports, though legal experts question whether his interpretation will stand in court. Trump is giving his opinion on Title IX, said Scott Schneider, a Texas attorney specializing in the law. But courts have taken contrary views. Under the order, the Departments of Homeland Security and state will deny visas to transgender female athletes, with Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem tasked with enforcement. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will pressure Olympic organizers on transgender inclusion policies. Trump campaigned on banning transgender athletes from women's sports and pitched the order as a fulfillment of that promise. His administration has moved swiftly to roll back protections for transgender individuals following legal challenges to Biden-era policies. Critics argue the order lacks immediate legal weight. There is no real practical significance to it, Schneider said. Without a court ruling or a change in Title IX, the status quo is maintained. States remain divided on the issue. Some have passed laws restricting transgender athletes' participation, while others explicitly protect them. Courts have repeatedly struck down similar state-level bans, and civil rights advocates predict Trump's national effort will face the same fate. Make no mistake, multiple states have tried this and lost in court, said Lambda Legal senior attorney Carl Charles. There's no reason to think a national ban will succeed. The debate over transgender inclusion in sports remains contentious. Federal data shows only 1.4% of U.S. teenagers identify as transgender, and studies suggest relatively few participate in organized athletics. Nonetheless, the issue became a focal point of Trump's campaign, resonating with conservative voters. The GOP-controlled House recently passed a bill mirroring Trump's order, signaling continued political momentum for such policies. Meanwhile, Democratic lawmakers and advocacy groups are preparing for legal challenges, arguing that the order violates civil rights protections. Trump's directive follows Biden's efforts to expand protections for LGBTQ+ students, an initiative met with fierce Republican opposition. A federal judge vacated Biden's Title IX revisions shortly before Trump took office, leaving the issue in legal limbo. As the battle over transgender rights in sports plays out in courts and legislatures, Trump's order represents the latest flashpoint in a broader struggle over gender identity and civil rights in America.